What is up, YouTube? I remember my tripod for my camera today, so this will look a little bit better than me trying to hold it. Out here, it's getting to be springtime, so I'm working in the garage with the door up today. My neighbor's dog is barking insanely in the background, so just ignore that. But we're out here today working on Lola. Last time I changed the oil on it, I noticed on the back of the head it was leaking, and through observation of where it was leaking and some general internet sleuthing, everybody online says that these cars tend to leak from the back of the head from one place, and that's the VTEC solenoid, which is that guy right there. Exactly where it was leaking from. I cleaned it off with brake cleaner. It's leaked just a little bit since then, but not much. This should be an easy change. It's basically one wiring harness, and I think it's 2 or 3 bolts. I'll let you know once I get it off of there. The part was $7.96 with tax. Here it is. There's your Dorman part number, 917174. So this is what it is. Now I've read online 2 things. Either A, the rubber wears down and starts leaking, or I've also read some people say, I don't know how true this is, that where it has this screen, that screen will get contaminants in it, and that will cause pressure to build up there, and then the oil will blow out the sides of the gasket, like here. That's what will cause your leak. Some people I know on older Hondas, especially like D and B series, have actually taken these out and sprayed this with brake clean and cleaned it out and got all the contaminants and metal particles, whatever out, and just stuck it back in, and it's been fine. It's $8 for a new one. You've got to take it apart to get that out. Just go, I would go ahead and replace it. Yes, if I was in a bind and I didn't have $8, or I was broke down on the side of the highway, sure, try that, see if it gets you home or it lasts you till, whatever. There is no, if you go to Advanced AutoZone, O'Reilly's, Napa, they're all $7.94. I tried. I got it at AutoZone because they had it in stock. This, like I said, it's going to be an easy part swap. So the first thing we did, of course, was get the hood up. It's hot right now, so I'm going to let it cool off while I gather up some tools. Like I said, this shouldn't be hard. So I'll gather the tools up and we'll go from there. So I did this crazy thing called turning the lights on. I had the door up and I thought in my head, oh, there's light in here, so I have to have the lights on. No, it was the door, so I turned the lights on. So now you can see, this is the part we're going to rip the gasket that goes to that. That is your VTEC solenoid. Some people say since this is a 1.8, it doesn't have VTEC, it has variable valve timing. It's a Honda, it's variable valve timing. We're just going to call it VTEC for simplicity. As you can see, I don't know if you guys and girls out there can see this, but it was leaking oil pretty badly. You can see it right there, right above that belt. But all of this in here was covered. I sprayed it down with brake parts cleaner, and it ran out the bottom. The way I noticed it was leaking was actually I changed the oil, and it was leaking so bad it was coming out the bottom. So they say when this starts leaking, because it's such high pressure there, it's a pretty bad leak. But the first thing we're going to do, I'm going to take my flathead. You've actually got 2 wiring harnesses here. You got one here, and you got one around the back. I'd say this is your VTEC, and that one right there looks like an oil pressure or oil temperature. And I'm going to take this loose, this wiring harness here. It'll just pop down and then pop out. That way I can get to this bolt, and then there's a bolt on the bottom. They are 10 millimeters, so I'm going to use a 10 millimeter socket, an extension, and a 3/8 ratchet. So what I'm going to try and do is, I don't know where I can set you all so you all can see, so I may just set you all right here while I work. So what I did is, you've got this, always make sure when you do these you pull on the plastic, not on the wires, because I've actually pulled wires out. What I did was I pushed in up here and took my flathead like right here on the bottom and just pushed up and it came out. So there's step one. Step 2 is I'll take my flathead. See how this got a little tab right where I'm pushing? Push it down. And then, it's really hard to do with one hand. What you'll do is push it in. I need an extra set of hands. I think I might start having my cousin help me. That you all right there, that way I can bump you with my elbow and knock you off the car. Push it down, and then kind of pull. Push it down and pull. And you probably could get by without taking this little harness loose, but getting it out of the way will make it easier to get to that top bolt. And probably easier to get, okay? So I took that out of there. Like I said, I pushed it down, pulled it back, pushed up on the bottom, pulled it out, and it will come out. Now that'll make it easier to get to that bolt. Bolt's right there. And there's another one on the bottom down here. And I also have to get this other sensor harness loose. Okay. It was a lot easier. You'll have this harness too. Like I said, this is probably the VTEC controller, and this looks like it'll be the oil pressure sensor. That's what it looks like. So now we have a bolt right here, and then a bolt right here. 2 10s. Remember, kids, righty tighty, lefty loosey. Oh, come on. Okay, top one's loose. Go ahead and break the bottom one loose first. Secondly, before I take this one all the way out. Okay. You could probably do this without an extension, but the extension allows you to come out past all this plastic and all that other stuff. Maybe y'all can see what I'm doing if I do that. Okay, so I got the top one. Now, the bottom one. Ooh, that's very, very oily, and it keeps wanting to come off, so we're good. There we go. So what I was doing was holding pressure with one hand against it, hoping that a bunch of oil doesn't come like flying out of this when I take it loose and make a mess on my parents' garage floor. Okay, so I've got that loose, and I'm going to take it out with my hand, so I don't drop it. Okay, there's one. Get this bottom one loose. It's loose. It's like finger loose, but also this thing is like, I literally drove it to get lunch and come back, so it's a little warm. Oh. There's a bracket right here that, of course, is in the way. Nope. I weaseled it around it. Okay. Pull this bolt out. Pull this harness up out of the way. There we go. Okay. Bolt 2. Now let's see if this thing will come out of there. I don't feel any more bolts. Let me see. Let me do some more research here. Some feeling around, see what we got. Is there a third bolt? I feel some other bolts here, but I don't know if they specifically go to this or not. You got one right here too. Let's see if that one. Okay, so there is a third bolt. I thought this bolt was, there's a bolt here, and a bolt on the bottom. I thought this bolt I was feeling went to something else because the fuel rail's right here too. I thought it was the fuel rail, but it is not. And as soon as I cracked it loose, I actually saw, I know you can't see in the video, but it created a gap immediately between the head and the VTEC solenoid. So pull this guy out. Make sure I don't drop it. Now there are three bolts, same length, three of the same bolts. So there's no upper, lower, whatever. So now let's see if this guy will, aha, come loose. Oh, and it is, of course, full of oil. Okay, so let's see what I need to do to get this bad boy out of here. Okay, so apparently there's a wiring harness on the bottom here that is attached to it. And then this hose is not attached. This hose is attached to this harness. So if you remove this up here, it will come loose. But there's another one down here. So there's a harness there I got to get to, and this will all come out. Take your screwdriver, push the top tab in, and then it should come out. Yeah. Right, top's out. Okay, now then this guy should just be loose. Ta-da! It's out. So now what we're going to do is come over here, set this on our rag so we don't make a mess. We'll go over there. There's no gasket, so it must be stuck to the block. So the gasket looks like it's solid. I've seen people pull these out and it be ripped or torn. And the screen looks collapsed, which is really weird. But I also think maybe the fact that this was, like I said, stuck to the block and not, I don't know. This is where it's leaking from, so that must be bad somehow. I'm going to take this rag, another one of these rags, spray a little brake clean on it, wipe all that down on the back of the head, try and get as much of that oil off as I can. I'm not just going to blast it with brake clean because I don't want to get it in the head, and I'm also not going to blast this for brake clean because I don't want to get it in there. So I'm going to take a rag, wipe it down, spray brake clean on it, wipe it down, and then what we're going to do is take the old one, put it in that box so we know which one's the old one, and then we'll replace this. So what I did here was I turned it over to get all the old oil out on these napkins here, as you can see. Took my brake clean in this rag, wiped it down. It looks really good. It looked to me like it was leaking out the bottom because if you looked before I scrubbed it, as you can still see, there's a lot of oil residue around the bottom. So I think it was leaking down here somehow, like probably right there coming out. But what we're going to do now, so we'll take our gasket. As you can tell, it only goes one way. It's shaped. It won't go that way, obviously, because this piece is bigger. Put this in like such. Like I said, some people will tell you can take brake clean and clean out this screen, but I mean, you're already here. Go ahead and replace it. Okay, so now we'll take this over there with our 3 bolts. And I'll go ahead and get them started by hand. I know you all can't see this very well. The disadvantage of doing things by yourself. Maybe if I get some more subscribers and start making some serious YouTube money, I can hire an assistant. Alright, so we're going to start out with this. Try and start out with one of the top bolts on the top, because if I can get it started that way, it will hold itself. Put that right there out of the way. Alright, let's feed this thing back in here. Okay. These hoses and this wiring harness here. Alright, let's get this thing wound back up if we can. Okay. Like I said, we're going to start with one of the top bolts. This hose right here is really what's the problem. The wiring harness, everything else is good. The hose is the issue. Where my hose at? Okay. What's up? There we go. Now let me get this started. I feel like it's starting. Yep, it's taken a couple of threads, so. Okay, so that one's all started about halfway there. I'll reach over and do the one beside of it. Okay. It'd be nice to be able to get my electric or my air ratchet in here, but that is just impossible. Okay, that one's almost all the way there, so now it will hold itself. Take our last bolt, put it on the bottom, get it started. Oh yeah. Okay, so all of those are started, so I'll grab my ratchet. Remember, righty tighty, lefty loosey. Okay, what we'll do is get them all snug. Get them all as tight as you can get them by hand. Okay, and then we'll go back and start snugging them down. Okay, top two. When I say hand tight, I normally what I do is I turn this so I can't turn anymore by hand. When I say turn this, I mean turn this. Use this instead of using your fingers. Just makes it a little bit quicker and easier. So, okay, all 3 of them are snug. Okay, so now we'll ratchet them a little bit. Okay, I'm sure there are torque specs to this, but these are 10mm bolts and an aluminum head, so I'm going to go a little bit past hand tight with them. Plus, I don't know if I could get a torque wrench in here, to be honest with you, as tight as this is. I'm getting 2 clicks of the ratchet. Okay, we'll go to this one over here now. This right here is a problem too. I think it's part of your AC system, but it's just, I'm glad, you know, I really enjoyed working in the shop when I worked in the shop, you know, and I really enjoy working on cars, but I couldn't do this every day, all day. Those of you guys out there that do this all day, every day, you've got more patience and stuff than I do. Working in little confined spaces like this drives me up a wall. Working on the Z's been a lot worse than this. Okay, that's about as tight as it's going to get. Now I'm going to check the other two. Okay. All right, move down here, the bottom. Okay, now plug our sensors back in, boop, and boop. Put this back, one on the bottom back. Done. Now, we just changed the VTEC solenoid and hopefully fixed our major leak. So now what we will do, fire this main machine up. No leaks observable. I don't see oil gushing out anywhere, which is good. I'll drive it, let Mindy drive it a week or two, and then we'll check it again. But we just fixed our oil leak. Apparently this is a pretty common issue on these Civics with R18s in them. It's always something simple. It's either something super complicated or something simple like a $7 gasket. That's all it is. One thing I do recommend when you get done, you want to check the oil, because obviously that was an oil leak. We took it out, some oil came out, there was oil in the thing. I'm gonna make sure it's still full. Probably wouldn't be that much low if it is, but I'm gonna top it off if it is low. So that's all there is. Thanks everybody. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. We're almost 1,500 subscribers. So let's keep doing this.